Happy New Year, everyone. Please let me know if this is clear. I'm trying something different. So that's why I'm late. Apologies. Apologies, guys. But okay, so please let me know if you can hear me clearly. If you cannot hear me clearly, just drop it in the chat. Okay, hi guys, welcome to the Breakdown with The Yr. This is our first episode of 2022. So let me let you into a secret, yeah? I've been, for some reason, calling this year 2020. I don't know why, but I reject it. This is not 2020. I personally have decided that I'm deleting 2020 from just everything. So I'm going to be a year younger, and that's just how it's going to be. Okay, so for anyone who knows my actual age, if they try to come for me, I would just be like, well, I reserve the right to delete a whole year from my age, because there are people out here who are, what is it called? I'm not sure what it is called in this minute. They're identifying as Black and they're white. There are people who are identifying as Korean, but they're actually something else. And so I can identify as being 1 year younger than my actual age. But anyway, welcome to 2022. And what can I say? 2021 was rough in some parts and sweet in some other parts, which is an apt description of life, I would say. But right now, I think coming into 2022 around November-ish, I remember feeling like really excited just for 2022 and just knowing in my shanana that it was going to be like the best year yet. But whenever I say that, people will say, oh my God, don't jinx it. I was like, I don't know. Like, not jinxing it didn't work for us in 2019. So might as well just go for positivity. But anyway, it was the weirdest Christmas because I got ill on the 24th. 24th, I was ill. And from there, it just continued until maybe 2 days, 3 days ago, before the flu. Should I say the flu broke? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm jumping in. Welcome to the first breakdown with The Yr of 2022. And yes, congratulations are in order to my favorite guests, my faves, Oyinkansola and Jem. So yes, they got engaged. I'm waiting for permission to share that video on my YouTube. They haven't given it to me yet. They got engaged. Very fun story. I wasn't there because I wanted something and I haven't got it yet, so I wasn't there. But it was a fun engagement, a proposal. It was a fun proposal. I saw the video. It was beautiful, and I hope they give permission for me to share. I will share it if they do. Anyway, so what did I miss? What did we miss? If you remember, we took a break in December, and then from there it was like silence as planned. And when Megan Good and Devon Franklin, when they announced their split, people sent me messages for are you guys going to talk about this? I was like, we would have, but we're on a break. So we did not, we couldn't talk about it, but I'll get to that sometime during this stream. Sometime during the stream. So if you're watching this for the first time or you're watching this right now, click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't to the Daffy Show. I try my best to just keep it going. And I will not lie, 2021, I don't think I promoted as much. I want to improve that in 2022. But today we're not talking about goals. We're talking about the breakdown. So what's my thought on, I'm not even sure how it's pronounced. Is it Omicron? Is it Omarion? Is it Omicron? I don't know, but I just want it to go away because it just seems like everyone is getting some variant of COVID. And yes, I did get tested. So if anyone was wondering, because I know I said, I was sick from the 24th all through until 2 days. Omarion. Hello, Jesse. So yeah, I was sick for a while, but I did get tested. I was negative, and I posted about that on IG, like how I went to a testing center and I was coughing, and some people were giving me nasty looks, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You're supposed to you're supposed to wonder if you have COVID, and then you come to the testing center. Like, that's why we're here. So if I'm coughing, that shouldn't be something strange. Like, that's why I'm here, right? But anyway, I got tested. It was negative. So obviously it was the flu, but it was a strong case of the flu. If you have had the flu during this season and thought it was COVID, look, I'm there with you, because whether it's COVID or it's not COVID, I'm hoping for the best for all of us. I don't want to lose anyone. I just want the world to be at peace and for all of us to make merry. So we're jumping into the whole Ari Fletcher SavagexFenty drama, right? So for anyone who doesn't know, Ari Fletcher is an IG baddie, I think is what it's called, and a model. I'm not sure what kind of model. I believe she is an IG model because looking at her, I'm like, okay, maybe IG model or like Fashion Nova-ish kind of model. I'm not sure, but if you know, let me know in the comments. Anyway, so just she got dropped recently, like a few days ago, from being a brand ambassador of SavagexFenty. And at first I was thinking, drop is kind of drastic, right? But then I found out that she had gone on a podcast. I'm trying to remember what the name of that podcast is. Let me check. Just give me a moment, guys. Okay, it's called Don't Call Me White Girl. That's kind of a weird name, but okay, Don't Call Me White Girl podcast. So she went on this podcast and, she was having conversation, and she was talking about how she, in a relationship, sometimes she throws tantrums or she acts crazy so that her boyfriend would pull a gun on her and tell her to sit down, like be quiet or stay inside the house or something weird. And then she made some other, funny comments, and just comments that made it seem like she was in support of a toxic relationship were the comments that she made. So anyway, she got dropped. So the issue on Twitter was kind of like, wasn't that too drastic? And then someone mentioned that, of course, it's Rihanna, and of course she would take that serious. And I remembered, I remember when the whole Chris Brown Rihanna thing happened, and just how serious it was. And looking back now, thinking of how young they were when that happened, and looking at Ari Fletcher and the kind of influence that she has, I'm not surprised she got dropped. Even if Rihanna didn't think at first to drop her, I think any good PR team or anyone just who's running the whole brand ambassadorship platform thing is going to say, no, you sound like you're supporting toxic relationships. You sound like you're supporting domestic violence, and we cannot have you as the brand ambassador. And it just got me thinking, like, what, it all comes down to the canceling thing and getting canceled and all of that stuff. So one thing, I've been on interviews before, and sometimes you get the feeling that the person wants you to be open, honest, and transparent. And sometimes it's even fun, just say whatever you want. And if you're not careful, you will start to say anything at all. It can happen to anyone. But if you're a brand ambassador, you cannot afford to fall into that. And that's why you have some people say, okay, I will come on your platform, but you need to send me the questions first. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it when people do that. When people tell me, send me your questions first, I don't really like it, but I understand it. Some people don't want to be caught, unawares of what they're going to say. They want to be prepared. I, on the other hand, I want it to flow and be smooth. I don't want it to sound rehearsed. But it's not about me at that point, right? I've invited them. They've been gracious enough to say yes. If they say send me the questions, I send the questions. If they don't say that, I'm like, praise God, and we keep it moving. But at the same time, there's a middle ground, because there's some people, you don't send them the questions, they don't ask, and then you ask them questions and they're like, for like for like 5 seconds, right? And it's in the recording. Sometimes you don't even have time before you put it out, so you don't really have time to edit the ums and the ahs, and you just have to let it go. So it's a you know, sometimes things happen, but I don't think it was drastic. So my thoughts, I don't think it was drastic that she got dropped. I think if you're the brand ambassador of a platform, you need to research what that platform is about. You need to know what they will take and what they won't take, and just let that steer you on. Do they pay you? Are you making money from this? Is there bread coming out of this ambassadorship? If the answer is yes, or if there's any kind of reward coming from this, then you should want to be on your best behavior. So I don't know. But anyway, she has responded. I'm getting an update that she has responded. She got on IG Live and she said everyone needs to chill because she was joking and it's not her job to be anyone's role model. So this is my problem, right? I don't know if people understand what brand ambassadorship means, but you're representing a brand to people, not dogs, right? You're representing a brand to people. People are watching you because they like you so much. They will wear what you're wearing. So you kind of are a brand, a role model. Like, I don't know why people keep saying I'm not a role model. You have your parents for that. You are a role model, and that's why people, because I see girls on IG wearing underwear, right? Because that's what SavagexFenty is. It's underwear. And they're in their underwear and they're like posing. They're showing you stretch marks. They're showing you flat stomachs. They're showing you everything, like different kind of bodies. And I appreciate that, even though I wouldn't do it, but I appreciate that because I'm looking at a girl who has a figure like mine, and I'm thinking, okay, so maybe this might fit me. And someone way slimmer or way bigger than me is looking at it too and saying, okay, this might fit me, and then they buy that, right? Real bodies. The whole idea is getting real bodies to show what something looks like, and it's a brilliant idea. But as a brand ambassador, you should be able to know how far you can go. So, and this is not a 9 to 5 job where they like give you a first warning. They give you a verbal warning the first time. They give you a memo the second time, and then they give you, what is it? And then they fire you the third time. This is not that. This is, this is a platform. If they decide to fire you overnight, that's what happens. So anyway, so that's my take on it. What do you guys think? Do you think it was enough for her to be fired? Do you think she should have been forgiven? Do you think the whole brand ambassadorship thing, people taking it too seriously? Or just let me know what your thoughts are, because on Twitter, we have people saying she's just an IG model. Why does anyone take her seriously? We had some people, just make all kinds of comments, but at the end of the day, if you're a brand ambassador, you're getting paid. You need to follow the rules of that platform. That's just my take. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. And then, I try not to say this would be a short breakdown, because whenever I say that, if you guys have been watching, whenever we say that, it always ends up being long. So I don't want to jinx it. So anyway, let me talk about the whole Megan and Devon and what's his name? Pastor Devon? Is that his name? And good, and Devon Franklin. Yes, Devon Franklin. The split. First things first, anybody split makes me sad. Like, that's just me. I hear that people who were married, they got divorced or are getting divorced. I feel sad for them. I'm not crying, but I'm sad because my mind immediately goes to the fact that when they started and they liked each other and everything like that, if it wasn't an arranged marriage, I'm just gonna put that out there. If it wasn't an arranged marriage, if it didn't start out as a marriage for one person to take the other person for granted, or if it wasn't like a marriage of convenience, if it was a I like you, you like me, butterflies kind of relationship, then I know that at some point these people really liked each other. Like they wouldn't see each other and they would be sad, right? That was the situation. But now they go from I love you, you love me to I no longer want to live in the same house with you. I no longer want to see you. And I just always be like, it could happen to anybody. I'm not thinking, how did this happen? I'm thinking, this can happen to anybody, but grace and commitment. To me, so that when people ask me, like, what do you think keeps people married for long? I would say God's grace, because I believe that God created marriage. And so it is by his grace that it lasts and that it works, because you have marriages that last and don't work, right? So it is by his grace that it lasts and it works. That is my take. But apart from that, commitment as well. It cannot be just I like you and you like me, because sometimes I'm not going to like you when you get on my nerves. But the decision to stay committed, like I'm going to stay here and make this work, I think that makes a lot of difference. And I'm not saying Megan didn't do that. I'm not saying Pastor Franklin didn't do that. I'm not saying any of that. It's just, okay, let me just say a few things I realized. The first thing was that, and look, I'm not throwing shade, okay? Like I said, this can happen to anyone. Divorce can happen to anyone. I don't feel happy about it, but I'm going to say a few things I noticed. The first thing is, how come it happened right after Harlem announced, or why did it happen right after the trailer dropped? In fact, I think it was 2 days before I watched Harlem, and I watched Harlem the day it dropped. I might be getting like the dates confused, but I know it seemed like by the time Harlem dropped, they were already separated, right? And I'm thinking, because it happened like that, it definitely made it look like it had something to do with the fact that she was in a major show, a major TV show. And then when I watched Harlem and saw her like in intimate scenes with other men, I was like, could this be the reason? But of course, I'm not in their marriage. I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to break up a relationship or a marriage, but I know that not every man can stand their wives being in scenes with people. For some people, they don't even care if you use a body double. All their thoughts come to, will people think this is my wife kissing another man? Will people think this is my wife naked with another man? That's just going to be the thought. It's not going to be anything more than that to some people. So, but I don't know if that contributed. I don't know. But what were the streets saying? And it was, it's because Devon was holding her back from doing what she's always wanted to do. Devon wasn't supporting her marriage. It was just a ton of things. But let me know what you think. If you're watching, let me know what you think. So I know that this is considered old news because it was December, but I just knew I was going to touch on this because people had reached out and said, okay, what do you guys think about Devon and Megan? And when Jem and when Onyele's come back, I'm going to ask them, like, what do you guys think about this issue? I've not had the conversation with them. I just let them know, okay, people are asking about this. And we're like, okay. But they were busy at the time, so we haven't talked about it. Another thing I noticed was they obviously came to a conclusion that, it looked like an amicable split. I don't even know if I believe in amicable splits when it comes to marriages. That can you amicably split a marriage? My answer to that is, I think you can if you have no kids. I think it might be easier to go separate ways if there are no children. I'm not saying in all situations. I'm just saying in some situations, because I've seen people who got divorced and they couldn't even, and they had a dog, and that dog was like the bane, like it caused this whole problem because they couldn't figure out like who would get the dog. And then the issue became, how were they going to have shared custody of the dog? Right. So I know once it comes to like any human sharing. They have children, they have pets. It can make it even worse. But I think an amicable divorce, it even sounds weird putting those two words together. An amicable divorce may be possible if it started out as a marriage of convenience, if two people have outgrown each other and changed and have just fallen out with each other for a long time. Maybe you guys have stopped talking for like 3 years, you haven't had sex in like 6 years. Maybe that kind of marriage, they may have an amicable divorce. I can't even imagine it, but I just know if they have no kids, it may be easier to go their separate ways. So I noticed that the announcements of their divorce looked very similar. And they just looked way like, okay, this obviously looked like Megan and Devin Franklin had sat down and been like, okay, I'm going to put this out and you're going to put this out. It kind of looked like that, but I don't know. Or their lawyers might have met and said, okay, this is how we're going to settle it. But I know the Saints came for them and they were like, Devon Franklin, we warned you, you should have never married her. She was never ready for you. Some people were like, yes, she's for the streets. Do I think she's for the streets? I don't know. I don't think so. Let me know what you guys think. I actually think, just from watching Megan, I think she's a sweet girl. I really do. But the thing about faith and the thing about just the whole walk with God thing is that you cannot force someone along. You cannot force someone to be on the same level with you on in their own walk with God. You can only walk your walk and encourage them to walk theirs. You can't force someone to pray. You can't force someone to read their Bible. You can force someone to go to church. You can't force someone to go into ministry. It has to be something that they want to do. So if your wife wants to act certain kind of movies or make certain kind of moves that are kind of clashing with your ministry, right? And this is in response to people who are saying she's for the streets. Pastor Franklin should never have married her because she was not a real child of God. I don't think it's anybody's job to judge who is a child of God or who isn't a child of God. I just think spouses cannot force each other to be spiritual. Let me use that word. You can encourage. If I wake up at midnight and I want to pray, I could be like, babe, do you want to join me? If he says no, it's a no. Like, I can't say you must join me or I'm leaving you. It cannot be that, right? Or I'm a pastor and I want you to come to church with me and I want you to wear a hat with flowers on it or a football on it. If I say no, I'm wearing a face cap. You cannot force me to do something else. So I just think it's kind of harsh. You saints are harsh, right? Jesus loves everyone. You saints are harsh. I think let them be. Let's see what happens. Who even says they can't come back? This is me. I'm always optimistic when it comes to getting divorced. I'm always like, who says they can't come back together? But this is just me. So my final, I guess the final thing I wanted to touch on is, the comments that came for his books, because a lot of people were like, yes, and he wrote all these books. I'm tossing my books away. So this is the thing, right? And as a writer, I'm not going to lie. Every writer thinks about this. Anyone who writes a self-help book, a motivational book, or some kind of guide has it somewhere in their mind, like, I need to be careful. I don't want to mess up because I put out this book and I don't want people to think that I'm being dishonest, I'm being fake, or I'm being a liar. Trust me. Anyone who puts out that the guide or the help or the self-help or the motivational and isn't thinking like that is a really vain person. And I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who really want to help. The person who really wants to help and puts out a self-help book because of that really doesn't want to disappoint you. So when they wrote The Wait or whatever that book was about how they waited before marriage, They put it out there because it worked for them and they thought it could work for other people. But now people are saying, it did it. They wait. People are saying, okay, so they waited. They did not have sex at all before they got married, and it didn't even help. Today they're divorced. And so maybe that advice doesn't work. Look. I don't know what else to say. Devon Franklin is a man of God, and I mean, I mean, he's a ministry. He's a clergyman. He preaches on Sunday, and so he understands that the Bible asks for abstinence before marriage. He gets that, and he let his woman at the time know that, okay, before we get married, we're not going to be sleeping together. And of course, she must have agreed for them to have waited until marriage. So I don't think anyone should cancel his books just because he and his wife got divorced. In his book, he's talking about how abstinence and waiting and not having sex help their relationship to grow, help them to get to know each other, and eventually get married. I don't think we should throw away that advice just because the marriage didn't last. But hey, that's just my take. So if you weren't here earlier, I was talking about how Jem and Liz, how they got engaged last year. Kudos to them. Shout out to them. I wish them the very, very best. I'm always rooting for them. And of course, I'm always praying that they are going to help each other grow, because in truth, that is the point of marriage. A God, how would I put it? A God endorsed relationship to help each other grow. That's the point. Right? So I wish Jem and Liz the very best. And of course, today we talked about Arifecha, we talked about the whole SavagexFenty thing, we talked about Omarion, we talked about me being ill for like almost 3 weeks. I feel better now, but still just taking things easy and not back at the office yet and everything. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support shown in 2021. I must say that 2021 was great, especially when it came to the Daffy show. And if you catch this video, don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to leave your comments. Feel free to promote the Daffy show whenever you want. Like, there needs to be no reason. Just promote. And check out the other videos. Check out the site, www.immigrate.life. Let me put that in the comments. And for anyone who attended the conference last year, it was fabulous. If I say so myself, it was just wonderful. I enjoyed it, and I was the host. So imagine. But anyway, the videos are up here on the Daffy Show. So go check out the videos, day 1, day 2, day 3. We had some awesome guests and awesome speakers, and it just went amazing. So looking forward to all the great things that we're going to do this year, 2022. Have a wonderful, wonderful night and a wonderful month and year. I look forward to more videos coming. All right, guys.